is something most do not understand, which is sacred geometry. So in this video, I'll break it down to getting you to know how it came into existence, what it means, so you can understand how to actually get there, understand it, and make sense out of it. So as basically everything in life, in the universe, everything that is in existence came into existence through light. Light is pure energy. We are pure energy. Everything in the outer inner world is made out of energy. Once you understand that, you have a great way to go. So as a human being, you were planted down here on the planet. That is a seed. A seed is a spark of living light that has its nucleus, its point. That is the first beginning of any geometry or design. Its point planted on the planet. It has one chord, that is the line between A and B, directly connected from the nucleus of your source connection. So point A to B is one perfect line. That was actually the creation of duality, because when both lines A and B need to reconnect, they create two third lines, creating a triangle, and that was cut off from us. That is a first point of sacred geometry, a triangle, and that triangle that was cut off our spirit self. So thus reconnecting with our spirit that was broken right above our heads, and thus we didn't have any access into the purity of living light realms. Today, all these things have changed. We are all moving into ascension, learning to work how to get our energies uplifted and working with them in meditation, working with a new light body, working with a new tree of life, because everything old has been killed, and quite luckily. So creating that, when we start to work with energies from our particular seed, that is one point, when we expand that seed, it creates a sphere of light around us. When we breathe in, we breathe out, it expands. Right? So that is a very simplistic form and the origin of sacred geometry. Within it, we all have all the platonic solids that are in existence. They have actually like hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions of designs within them. And thus, getting back into your energy field where you match your spark self interconnected with your source and your spirit, so creating a triangle back, then you have access to the higher realms that open up actually biogeometry, which is the original name of sacred geometry. And it makes very much sense, because our organism, our biological system, is made out of designs. It was, you know, let's say, I like the term shrink. We all shrinked like in, you know, into two spirals of the DNA. That is actually a format of 12 spirals in which we move back into. I'm a genetic encoder, and I actually work with physics and biology and the sciences of the divine. Do not be afraid of science, because you are science, we are science, And once you understand how that comes into fruition, you'll get your passion back for life. And once I was on my path into ascension, cutting off all that old spiritual fog, I never digged into it anyways. I went straight into the new tree of light, the new seraphods, the 22 balls of fire is how I call them. It is merely reconnecting to 22 spheres that are in the universes, that are connected to the galaxies, that are connected to the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 first rays, the 12 first formats that create a light body, as has been recreated by the prophet Elijah, and working together with all the elements. So yes, meditation is very, very important and must become very interesting for you as an individual in order to understand your process into self-mastering energy and your empowerment through biological geometry. That is actually the essence of sacred geometry. Everybody must have seen, you know, Platonic sonnets, a dodecahedron connected to the number 5, a tetrahedron connected to the number 3, a octahedron connected to the number 8. It doesn't mean a thing actually unless you apply it, and you can change your consciousness, you can change your embodiment, you can change your energy field, you can change your life, everything, because that is the sole purpose of biological geometry. And I actually prefer that term, because on the earth there's not much sacredness left, right? And thus the earth is moving into living light energies, frequencies, matching your frequencies. So one important thing here when starting off a meditation is at least setting yourself in a light body connected to the new tree of life. And that is a very important format. If you understand, we create one point, we create that linear line back to our source, and another line back to our spirit, and we create that triangle. When we turn that triangle over our energy field with all the first 12 colors we find in the galaxies, or what you know as the zodiac signs, or these colors at least, then that is the point connected to your source, spark and spirit, one triangle. When we create another opposite triangle, point down into the earth, it is connected, your deepest connected with your original seed to the earth. Both triangles intersecting, connecting, creates a diamond of light, and there is where everything truly starts off, because you can do anything when living in the diamond of light and putting your original seed around that diamond as a protective ball of fire, I would say. So most now I wear a lot of crystals, because crystals are the origin into formats of sacred or biological geometry through the earth. So here, you know, that those triangles interconnected, creating a diamond. By breathing through all the 12 colors in them, they all have 12 subcolors, all connected to that particular color. For example, the lavender color has 12 lavender, the pink has 12 pink, all connected to a particular different design. And so the most interesting thing, when working, my vibration up and up and up. And while everything, when working with this light configuration, we can open up that, the pyramid, the above triangle, we can actually put that like a capstone in the brain and open that up. It's like, you know, opening the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh eye, and so forth. So there's many levels to integrate. And being downloaded on the planet, all these colors, like the first 12, and around that we have the 10 higher rays of creation, they all format new geometrical patterns that are derived from an original platonic solid, or the original basics of sacred geometry, turning into massive sacred biological individual designs. And here is where it becomes very interesting, because it's actually the higher rays that gets you into the ascension. So we need to reconnect with the biology, the physics, the science of the divine, without making it difficult for you. Without, I mean, everybody understands a number 777. Breathe that through and see what it does to you. It's a sacred number, 555, 666. Everything in a triangle is, because we're moving out of 0-1 dual consciousness into unified consciousness 0-1-2, and that makes up your reconnection to your spirit and your spiritual capacity that can change your entire life. And that is reason why it is so important. So here, let me explain a little bit how I came into it, because it's massively important. Ascension is a process that should be done with passion, with integrity, with gratitude, with, many levels of humility, and truly open up, allowing self to open up many gates from within. The many gates open up into many different realms. It's all about subtracting the old world, the old cells that lay dormant, everything old in the body, subtract, and so the spiritual light realms can add, subtract, and they can add, subtract, and they can add. Because with every subtraction of old broken veins, energies, connections, name it, we can rise vibrations, and the more we rise vibrations, the more crystal clear our eyes become, the more we open up the eyes in the invisible world, becoming visible. And that is a necessity to understand your particular geometry. You can start out with a diamond of light that has the point, your seed or your spark, or whatever you term it, your original seed cell, your master seed cell, that is interlaced with everything in existence, depending on what you allow. And so that line has been made and creates your triangular connection immediately in the cube of light, or the diamond of light, if you will. And from that diamond of light, or that cube, you can literally create anything and receive your own codes. And that is where you start to understand sacred geometry. Without it, there is no way of understanding, because you need to be able to understand your own design. And the best way to start off is starting off with the cube that was recreated, with the new 12 colors of the new tree of life. If you start in the old tree of life, nothing will ever come true, because these worlds have been closed off from the earth. And for a good reason and cause, because everything on the earth, all the elements, the water, the oceans, the herbs, the trees, name it, all the elements and the animal kingdoms are changing, are intercommunicating and lifting vibrations in the purified fields, meaning it's purifying, it's changing its axis, or axis position changes with it, meaning we are being allowed access to the living light realms, because they are grounding. So that is one thing you can only understand by having the practice in meditation and knowing how to do it. So if you want to move in there, I have a huge course getting from 0 into the light realm straight away through the alchemy, because alchemy is biological geometry, has mathematics, has, you don't have to understand mathematics, has codes opening up, and particular divine living light codes is where you get your self-mastery and self-realization back into living light, in which your carbonized embodiment becomes light particles and light waves. So here, as I started off, I have received loads of aquamarine designs. As an example, here it started off with when I started to crystallize my body. I was very interested, and we need to do it anyways. Crystallize the bones, the nerves, the blood, etc. And so it's a process over years, and it becomes so interesting. And then I got this crystalline ball. It's the point of every seed, and it's the seed of the earth that started off with this crystalline aquamarine ball that is actually around the entire earth when connecting with it. And another formation I got in meditation as a design, that is my straight spine gathering all these particles you see on the spine, these particles gathering back into me as a part of that crystalline aquamarine ball. And then that opened up my connection to the oceans. I was directed to the South Pacific Ocean. I had an immediate communication with dolphins and baby whales. Baby whales, his name was Charlie. It was so crystal clear, as I see you. And Charlie guided me to underwater treasures humanity didn't even see. And showed me, because animals are a lot more intelligent than humans, especially dolphins and whales. And because their sonar waves can actually repair anything in the body. And that is where my journey started off with anything aquamarine. Said it's the origin. And the next thing I got was, I mean, I remember it was so clear. I got a design of a coral kingdom in the Caribbean Sea, pink color, pure pink. And they said, that's the origin of your master design. I said, oh, what's a master design? It's a template. A template is derived from a pattern in sacred geometry. It doesn't matter which one, so don't cling on to it. Make it easy and keep it simple for yourself. And that's the way how you get into the larger understanding. There is no use or value in studying sacred geometry if you don't have the experience working with it. And you can only work with it when you get your own designs or working with designs given, as I have here, and I teach people with it. If you're interested into that, all the info is in the description. So thank you so much for being with me. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment right here, and I'll be happy to answer you, because it's part of my passion. I created many designs over the past 2 and 3 years. I got one design after the other, all connected to one particular way, color, or combinations at time, and it explains actually everything. So going back in the Caribbean, I saw a huge pink sapphire crystal with all, let's say, beams of light connected to it, connected to the 4 cornerstones of creation, north, south, east, west, everything in between. And it's like holding a sword of highest sensibility, but huge amounts of higher intelligence to the pink way. And so, as I said, you know, I have my questions. So what do I need to do? It connect to the pink coral reef in the Caribbean Sea. Said, okay, what do I do with this? And then they say, just watch what comes out of it. So I was watching and seeing, and I still had my baby whale with me. So he said, focus, you lose your focus. They really direct you quite immediately. And then all of a sudden, a pink dolphin started circulating, creating vortexes of living pink light throughout me. And around that came a yellow seashell. And that yellow seashell, you see, they have vortexes. It's the first creation comes actually from a sphere opening in a tetrahedron. That tetrahedron, when turning it around, opening up a dodecahedron, and then these spirals come up, and it was all yellow, and it got out of my crown all the way up. And then they said, reconnect with the new rising of the great central sun that has been prepared now. Reconnect. And it got me. So I stood there with my yellow seashell around it, and these pink vortexes opening up. And then I got, as I was connected to aquamarine, I got here that aquamarine and pink spirals turning through all the way through my yellow seashell. That is a huge connection back to my source, in which the light volumes open up. And it's part of any platonic solid, because they were all interconnected. And they said, now you go with your yellow seashell, you go into the yellow mountains and reconnect to, you know, like 2023 years ago at the time of Jesus, because you were there. Reconnect to the first opening, you know, of that new light embodiment, the new tree of light, and get your information there. And so it goes on and on and on, and that is very individual. The most important thing, what they say, is that to understand is that we all come down here with a certain template. It doesn't have to be a sacred geometrical pattern, because every single design is part of a platonic solid. And thus, after that, I opened up, and all of a sudden in the Yellow Mountains, I got this color greenway dodecahedron around me for the first time. I said, what the hell do I do with this? It was just in front of me, like a vehicle, like an aircraft, you know. And I heard my guidance say, like, you just open that door, see those, you know, patterns in a dodecahedron as doors. You open it up, you sit into it, and you take your flight to a new realm in which you get education, you get things you need to know to give to humanity, as I'm a worldwide teacher. And I heard I needed to go and teach people about their own spiritual connection, their return into living light, and how to re-encode, or, you know, their genes, because essentially with the earth genes we cannot go far. We need our spiritual genes back in, and wearing a jean and a t-shirt, because that is what we all love, right? So let me know in the comments if you find this interesting, because, you know, and then, you know, there was so much. And I think for you as well, if you get simple, small things, it doesn't matter. If you see a flower, write it down, ask for the meaning, because flowers, every flower is interconnected to a sacred geometrical pattern that moves actually into your biological geometry, and that is all it matters. You know, if you get a lotus flower, you get a rose, you get, I don't know, whatever, you know, there's so many flowers around the world. And I love the lavender flowers. It's not about what you love, it's about what you get. And you will see that you will love what you get. Because many things that come along, you know, maybe things you didn't remember before that time. So it's imperative to purify self on a never-ending spiral, see it as very interesting, and get the old spiritual vibrations. Oh, they have nowhere to go, and they don't go anywhere. It's too long. If you need to heal anything, then do it right now into 1 hour session with yourself. Get assistance, get coaching, I do healings if you want to, but then it needs to be over and done with. What the old world does, it keeps on healing and healing and healing for 20 million years and doesn't get anywhere because it's connected to the old worlds. And the old worlds have no impact. It doesn't go into the vortexes of light. It doesn't go into the streams of light. You can't become light waves. And if you work your way into mastering energy, then you master light waves. So when you breathe in and you start to feel the many levels of light as an immortal, eternal being, then these vortexes create wheels of light. These wheels of light create waves of light. These waves of light start creating designs. And here are a few other designs. So as we're right now in to the orange way this month, the creator self, the higher vibration connected to the higher spiritual embodiment, that has huge impact on the body. And it's also connected to the Alpha Omega. It's connected to the origin of male-female vibration, the original sound into the universe. So I love this particular design where the male-female vibration come together. It just came around my energy field, and so I started designing it. I must say it wasn't an easy process, and but a very interesting one, because these designs I had to learn to work with Cinema 4D. You can't make them through you know, Photoshop and all that stuff. That is not high enough in vibration to get these designs through. Here is another one to get the spiritual ball running, as everything in sacred geometry is a biological geometry demonstrating many designs. So here are a few of the new crystalline emanations of the tree of life. They are all part of the platonic solids, yet they have a different design. They were created through a, let's say I start creating, you know, digital art on Cinema 4D. Let's say I created a dodecahedron, then I need to take up lines and change and bring in waves and do a lot of stuff in order to get this particular design. And so they told me it's all interconnected to languages of light. So each of these seraphods, they do have a connection to one Hebrew letter, they do have a connection to a Latin letter, and the English language foremost, because it's a very important language. So that is, things, don't make it complicated. Keep it very simple, because you can. And every single design you may see in your meditation, stick with it. Just stick with it and ask questions, ask for the colors, ask to expand upon it, invite more information. Even if it doesn't come true at times, there's things to eliminate. Get your ladder of ascension. I have these rise and vibrations up there, or a, you know, monthly course that gets you to know one particular way at a time and work with one way and its combinations for 1 month. And that is how you go into your celestial, universal, omniversal ascension, because they all bring a language, they bring a number, they bring a crystal you need to wear in order, you know, to purify another certain level. And that is when your life becomes very interesting, because, you know, certain time I get so many designers said, whoa, then they said you're on a next level of biological geometry and coding people with it. So also offer meditations with these designs, and wearing one of these geometrical biological codes can change your consciousness, can change your embodiment, can change the home. So it can do so many things if we allow and do the work with it. And then you know, there is no end in creation, because it goes further and further and further. So here with my, I didn't create my yellow seashell yet. It's quite difficult for me, I never did before, but I will give it a go, and I will not stop until I realize it. Even if it takes me months on the computer, I will, because that is, you know, my drive, my consciousness back into the divine. And so many flowers, for example, create, we have the flower of life. In the flower of life, you know, they're all arcs, interconnected arc. Every arc has consciousness, has numbers, has information, has data, that all downloaded in your particular energy field, created with the first 22 ways. And so when you work with all these ways, a few at a time, and sitting yourself in meditation in the morning and at night and writing your information down and get really consistent about it, then you'll be surprised what you could get in a short amount of time. It's all about re-educating the self, being you know, on the level of understanding. Their life remains very boring if we don't do anything with it, because it was never meant to be to live on a soul level. Soul level is ego, and that was created by being downloaded in the matrix. Now that we are closing off the matrix and the light realms are taking everything over, as is you know, in the master plan of the divine, we have no other option than to move with it. And it can only come through joy, passion, you know, allowance, and you know, inviting self to be willing to do that work and make an interesting life for yourself. Because I'm sure everybody can receive their own designs, and that is what I actually teach. And when you get your own designs, one at times, you get those sacred geometrical patterns, such as the green dodecahedron, such as, you know, the aquamarine triangle I got. And then it expands, and then other things come, and you know, you can do many different things with it. And so you can, you know, I can just send out one design into somebody that, you know, that maybe somebody has had an accident. I send a design, right, to stop the bloodstream, to do this, blah, blah, blah. You know, you become, you know, you can heal out anyone with sacred designs, or, you know, biological designs that are all derived from sacred geometry. And that doesn't mean we just put on a dodecahedron, a tetrahedron, an octahedron. An octahedron I received many times, and that is actually part of the light body Makiva, the diamond of light. And so when you get them yourself, then you can become very passionate. So I create them on apparel, on fitness mag, on home decor and everything, so people can connect any which way. And truly working with them is, you know, what makes the experience expand. And when you expand, you elevate yourself into higher vibrations, and so you release more and more of all the densities, the old consciousness, the old ways of feeding your body, everything. You will need a lot less food or hardly anything, and that all comes on a natural vibration because it's connected to the origin. And that is the way, you know, we open up volumes and volumes of new education, especially for youth and the children that you know, that deserve a better understanding of life from a young age on, because, you know, most children understand these designs and geometrical codes, patterns, whatever you name them, much easier than adults, because adults always want to make something out of something, and at times it goes the wrong way. Children just take it as it is, and, you know, allow their natural connection with the universes, although they need their re-education to reconnect with everything that is in divine living light and reason why they were downloaded on the planet. So I hope this video helped you in some way. Thank you for supporting me and subscribing and liking my channel so much, and I'll be back next week. Thank you.